That's the line that keeps echoing in my head, even months later. Sometimes, it comes back when I'm folding laundry, or when I see the Christmas lights blinking in the neighbor's yard. It hits me like the reflection of cold winter sunlight on glass, sharp, blinding, and impossible to ignore. That Christmas changed everything. And not because of the gifts under the tree, but because of the one that wasn't meant for me. It all started in early December, that soft part of the season when the air smells like cinnamon and pine needles, and everyone seems just a little kinder. Our house always looked like something out of a catalog around that time. I took pride in that. I'd hang gold ornaments evenly spaced on the tree, wrap the presents in the same color scheme, and place a cinnamon candle on the coffee table that burned all evening long. Ethan used to tease me about it. "You should run a decorating business," he'd say, kissing my temple as he passed by. And I'd laugh, pretending not to notice that he rarely stayed long enough to help. We'd been married 8 years. Long enough to know each other's habits by heart, the way he liked his coffee too hot to drink, the way he always left his shoes by the couch, the way his smile tilted when he lied about something small, like forgetting to buy milk. I trusted him. At least, I thought I did. That week, work had been hectic. I'm a school counselor, and the days leading up to the holidays are always the hardest, kids acting out, parents stressed, teachers exhausted. I came home every evening wanting nothing more than warmth and quiet. But lately, Ethan had been distracted. He'd sit on the couch with his phone angled just slightly away from me. His thumbs moved quickly, the faint blue light flickering on his face. When I'd walk past, he'd lock the screen, casual, not guilty, but deliberate. It's strange how small gestures start to plant big doubts. "Who are you talking to?" I asked one night, stirring soup at the stove. "Just a friend," he said, without looking up. His tone was too even. Too ready. "Anyone I know?" No. Someone from work. She's new. I'm helping her settle in." He smiled, that reassuring, easy smile that used to melt every worry I had. And I let it go. Because that's what love does, it gives the benefit of the doubt. The first real clue came a few days later. I was wrapping gifts late at night, the house quiet except for the sound of paper crinkling and scissors sliding along ribbon. Ethan had gone upstairs to take a shower, leaving his phone on the counter. It lit up once, then again. The name that flashed on the screen read Lydia. The message preview said, "Can't wait to see your face when you open it, winky face." I froze. It wasn't jealousy that hit me first, it was confusion. Open what? My hands trembled, the tape sticking awkwardly to my fingers. I shouldn't look, I told myself. We trust each other. We don't snoop. But the phone buzzed again. "It's already under the tree. Don't peek." My throat tightened. Under the tree? Our tree? I heard the shower running upstairs, the muffled sound of Ethan humming. The Christmas lights blinked softly behind me, reflecting off the shiny wrapping paper. Everything looked too beautiful, too calm, like a picture-perfect lie. When he came downstairs, towel around his shoulders, he looked relaxed, almost radiant. "You're still up?" he asked, glancing at the half-wrapped gifts. "Yeah," I said quietly. "Just trying to get everything done." He smiled, kissed the top of my head, and walked past me to the kitchen. The scent of his aftershave, that clean, cedarwood scent I used to love, made my stomach turn. I waited until he went to bed. Then I looked under the tree. All the gifts were neatly arranged, the ones I wrapped, the ones from his parents, a few with his handwriting on the tags. But near the back, half hidden, was a small silver box with red ribbon. The tag said, "To E, from L." No one in our lives went by L. I didn't open it that night. I just sat on the couch staring at it, the lights reflecting off the silver paper, my heart beating too fast. I wanted to believe there was a simple explanation. Maybe Lydia was just a coworker. Maybe it was an office secret Santa thing. But something in my gut told me, this wasn't that kind of gift. The next morning, I tried to act normal. Made coffee, played Christmas music, even teased him about oversleeping. He seemed lighter, like a man with a happy secret. "You seem cheerful," I said, trying to sound casual. "Just holiday spirit," he replied with a grin. The silver box stayed under the tree all week. He never mentioned it, and I didn't dare ask. I watched him though, the way his eyes lingered near the tree when he thought I wasn't looking. The way he smiled faintly whenever his phone buzzed. It was like living beside someone I no longer recognized, a man who shared my home, my table, my bed, but not his truth. By Christmas Eve, my nerves were raw. My sister Mia came over to help cook dinner, and I tried to keep the mood light. But she noticed right away. "You okay?" she asked, rolling dough at the counter. "Yeah, just tired," I said too quickly. Her eyes narrowed. "Don't lie to me, Anna. You get quiet when something's wrong." I sighed, lowering my voice. "It's probably nothing. I just think Ethan's hiding something. There's this woman, Lydia, and a gift under the tree." Mia stopped rolling. "Did you ask him?" "No. I don't want to sound paranoid." "Anna, it's not paranoia if something feels off." I wanted to believe she was overreacting. But the look in her eyes, that mix of concern and protective anger, made me realize I wasn't crazy for feeling uneasy. That night, after Mia left and the dishes were done, I sat by the fire and stared at the tree again. The silver box caught the glow of the flames. Ethan was upstairs, probably texting her. And I knew, whatever that gift was, it would tell me everything I needed to know. I couldn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that small silver box, glinting beneath the tree like a secret wrapped in guilt. Around midnight, I slipped out of bed as quietly as I could. The floorboards creaked beneath my feet, and the house felt unnaturally still. I remember thinking how strange it was that silence could feel so loud. I crouched near the tree, heart pounding, and reached for the box. The ribbon was smooth, the kind of expensive satin you don't find at a grocery store. The tag read "To E, from L" in looping handwriting, delicate and deliberate. For a moment, I hesitated. Part of me wanted to walk away, to cling to the version of Ethan I still loved. But another part of me, the part that had noticed his late-night texts and the way he angled his phone away, needed to know. So I untied the ribbon. Inside the box was a small black velvet pouch. My fingers trembled as I opened it. Inside was a silver keychain, simple, elegant, with 2 engraved letters, E and L intertwined in a heart. It was beautiful. And it made me sick. Underneath the keychain, there was a folded note. My breath caught as I opened it. "For the man who once made me believe in Christmas again. Thank you for reminding me what love feels like. Always, L." I stared at the words until they blurred. For a few seconds, my mind refused to process what I was reading. Then the realization hit like a wave: he's not just texting her. He's seeing her. He's loving her. And right there, in the quiet glow of our living room, surrounded by the smell of pine and cinnamon, my world cracked open. I sat there for what felt like hours, the note clutched in my hand, the lights blinking in slow, mocking rhythm. I thought about every time he'd kissed me distractedly, every time he'd laughed at my jokes without really listening, every late meeting, every just a friend. It all fit together now, like a puzzle I never wanted to solve. Around 2 a.m., I heard footsteps upstairs. I quickly placed the box back under the tree and slipped onto the couch, pretending to be half asleep. Ethan came down the stairs in his robe, rubbing his eyes. "You're still up?" he asked, voice groggy. "Couldn't sleep," I said softly. "You should come to bed." He leaned down, kissed my forehead, and for the first time I felt nothing. "Yeah," I whispered, "I'll be there soon." He smiled and went back upstairs, completely unaware that the truth was sitting under the tree, wrapped in silver paper and deceit. The next morning was Christmas Eve. Ethan was cheerful, humming while he made breakfast. I watched him move around the kitchen, and every gesture, every word, felt like a performance. He talked about dinner plans, about visiting his parents, about how excited he was for our Christmas together. And all I could think was, how can he look me in the eyes and lie so easily? I wanted to confront him right then, to hold up the note and demand an explanation. But I didn't. Because something in me, the counselor, the quiet observer, wanted to see how far he'd go. So I played along. "Did you finish your shopping?" I asked casually. "Mostly, yeah. Just waiting on one last gift to arrive." "For me?" "Maybe," he said with a grin. "You'll see tomorrow." My throat burned with the effort not to laugh, or cry. That afternoon, I went upstairs to our bedroom and closed the door. I sat on the bed and stared at my reflection in the mirror. My eyes looked tired, older somehow. There was a heaviness in my chest that wouldn't go away. I took out my phone and searched his messages. I know, it's wrong. But I needed truth more than pride. His phone was locked, of course. But I remembered something. A few weeks earlier, he'd asked me to check his calendar, and I'd seen his passcode. He hadn't changed it. When I unlocked it, my hands were shaking. I scrolled through his texts, past work chats, past family messages, and then I found her. Lydia R. Their chat was pinned to the top. The most recent message was from her. "Hope she likes the gift you said was from both of us, winking face. My breath caught. From both of us. I opened the thread and scrolled back. There were hundreds of messages, photos, jokes, late-night confessions. They weren't talking like colleagues. They were talking like lovers. And then I found it. A photo of the two of them at a cafe, her hand on his arm, both of them smiling like they shared a secret. The timestamp said December 12th, the night he told me he had a work dinner. The room spun. I dropped the phone on the bed, covering my mouth to keep from making a sound. The betrayal wasn't loud or cinematic, it was quiet, suffocating. Like the moment you realize the person standing next to you is a stranger wearing the face you once loved. I took the phone, deleted nothing, and placed it back exactly as it was. Then I walked downstairs, calm, collected, because if there's one thing I've learned, it's that anger can wait. Truth deserves an audience. That night, we sat by the tree, sipping cocoa. The house glowed with the warmth of Christmas lights. Ethan handed me a small box. "Merry Christmas," he said with that same easy smile. I opened it. Inside was a bracelet, delicate, gold, engraved with my initials. It was beautiful. Thoughtful. Almost convincing. "Do you like it?" he asked, watching my reaction. "It's perfect," I said softly. "Good," he replied. "You deserve it." And that's when I decided I'd wait until morning. Let him have his perfect night. Let him open his perfect little box from Lydia. Then, when the sun came up, I'd give him my own gift, the truth. Christmas morning arrived soft and quiet, the kind of morning that feels like the world is holding its breath. Snow had started to fall outside, dusting the neighborhood in white, and the scent of coffee filled our kitchen. Ethan was already downstairs, humming as he arranged the presents. His voice sounded too light, too rehearsed. I took my time getting dressed, slipping on a cream sweater and jeans, staring at myself in the mirror for a long moment. There was no trace of anger on my face, just calm determination. It surprised me how still I felt inside. When I came down, he smiled. "Merry Christmas, sweetheart." "Merry Christmas," I replied, my voice steady. We exchanged a quick kiss, more habit than affection, and sat by the tree. The morning light flickered across the ornaments, casting tiny reflections on the walls. I handed him the first gift, a sweater I'd chosen weeks ago, before everything changed. He thanked me, pretending to love it, and passed me one of my own. Then, after a few more exchanges, his hand went to the small silver box near the back of the tree, the one from Lydia. "Oh," he said, almost startled. "This one's, Go on," I said quietly. "Open it." He looked at me, uncertain. "It's from a friend," he added, his tone careful. I smiled, folding my hands in my lap. A friend named Lydia? His face froze. The color drained from his cheeks. What? He said softly, almost a whisper. You heard me, I replied. Lydia. The woman who sent you that little note, thank you for reminding me what love feels like. He blinked, his jaw tightening. You went through my things? No, I said. I went through our things. That box is under our tree, in our house. You didn't even bother to hide it somewhere else. Silence. Only the faint ticking of the clock filled the room. It's not what you think, he said finally, his voice low. Then tell me what I think, Ethan. Because from where I'm sitting, your friend Lydia sent you a love letter and a keychain with your initials, E and L, not E and A. He flinched. It was a small movement, but it told me everything. He set the box down, rubbed his forehead, and sighed. Okay, he said. You're right. I should have told you. Lydia's, someone I used to know. Used to? We dated years ago, before you. She reached out recently. She was going through a rough time and we just started talking again. Talking? I repeated, the word sharp. Yeah, just talking. She said I helped her. I didn't mean for it to become. Become what? I asked, my voice trembling slightly. Complicated. There it was, the coward's word. Complicated. You lied to me, Ethan. You said she was a coworker. I was trying to spare you the misunderstanding. The misunderstanding? I laughed bitterly. You mean the truth? He looked up, eyes glassy. I didn't sleep with her, Anna. But you wanted to. He didn't answer. And silence, I've learned, is its own confession. I stood up, walked to the window, and watched the snow fall outside. Each flake drifted slowly, peaceful, indifferent to the chaos unraveling inside me. You know, I said softly, I never asked you for much. Just honesty. Just respect. I didn't mean to hurt you. Then why did you keep her messages hidden? Why did you save her picture? Why did you let her gift sit under our tree like it belonged here? He had no words. His mouth opened, then closed. For a second, I saw guilt, then frustration, then something colder, defensiveness. You always blow things out of proportion, he muttered. Excuse me? It was harmless, Anna. I didn't cheat. You're turning this into some kind of betrayal because you can't handle me having a female friend. That's when my calm cracked. A friend doesn't write love notes to your husband. I snapped. A friend doesn't call him at midnight or tell him she misses his voice. He looked away, jaw tight, and whispered. You're overreacting. And just like that, he made it my fault. I felt my knees weaken. I sat back down on the couch, staring at the floor. The sound of the fireplace crackling filled the silence between us. Do you love her? I asked finally. No, he said too quickly. Then why are you protecting her more than you're protecting me? He looked at me then, really looked, and for a moment, I saw the man I'd married. The one who used to bring me coffee in bed, who held my hand in grocery store lines, who made me laugh on long drives. But the man sitting across from me now, he was someone else. Someone smaller. I don't know, he said finally. That was the truth, and somehow it hurt even more. I stood up, walked over to the tree, and picked up the silver box. You said this was harmless, I said, holding it out. Then open it. Right now. In front of me. His hand twitched. What? Open it. He hesitated, too long. And in that hesitation I saw everything I needed to see. I dropped the box into his lap and whispered. Merry Christmas, Ethan. Then I walked upstairs, leaving him alone with his lies and Lydia's perfect little gift. That night, I slept in the guest room. I could hear him pacing in the hallway, hear the creak of the floorboards, the quiet thud of regret that came too late. He didn't knock. And I didn't cry. Because by then, the part of me that still hoped for an explanation had finally gone quiet. The next morning, I woke up before sunrise. The house was silent except for the hum of the heater and the faint drip of melting snow outside. For a few seconds, I forgot everything, the box, the letter, the argument. Then I turned my head and saw my packed overnight bag on the chair. And it all came rushing back. I got up slowly, walked to the mirror, and looked at my reflection. I didn't look angry. I didn't even look sad. I just looked done. Ethan was downstairs again, sitting at the kitchen table with his coffee. He looked exhausted, eyes red, face pale. The kind of tired that comes from guilt, not sleeplessness. "Morning," he said quietly. "Morning." For a moment, neither of us spoke. It was strange, how quickly love can dissolve into silence. He took a deep breath. "I didn't sleep," he said. "I figured." He nodded, staring into his mug. "I kept thinking about what you said. You were right. I should have told you about Lydia from the start." "That's not the point, Ethan." "Then what is the point?" I sighed. "The point is, you didn't just hide her, you protected her. You made me feel like the problem for noticing what was right in front of me." He didn't answer. "You know what that does to someone?" I continued. "When the person they trust the most makes them question their own sanity?" He looked up slowly. "I didn't mean to gaslight you, Anna. But you did." He pushed his mug away and leaned back. "So what now?" he asked, his voice heavy. I looked around the kitchen, the photos on the fridge, the candle we'd bought together last fall, the tiny crack in the wall we'd promised to fix. Every inch of that room held a memory. "I don't know," I said. "But I can't pretend nothing happened. I can delete her number." "It's not about deleting her number. It's about why she was there in the first place." He rubbed his face with both hands, like a man trying to wipe away his mistakes. "I just missed who I used to be with her," he said finally. "Before life got hard. Before everything turned into bills and schedules and routines." I stared at him, stunned by the honesty, and the selfishness in it. "So you missed being someone else?" "Not with someone else. Maybe." I nodded slowly. "Then maybe that's what you need to figure out, who you are without breaking me in the process." I walked to the living room, picked up my bag, and slipped on my coat. He followed. "Where are you going?" "My sister's." "Anna, please don't do this. It's Christmas." I turned to face him. "No, Ethan. You did this. On Christmas." He looked like he wanted to argue, but his shoulders slumped instead. "Can I at least drive you?" "No. I need to do this alone." Outside, the snow had stopped falling, leaving the streets glistening under the early light. I walked down the driveway, the cold biting my cheeks, and for the first time in days, I felt like I could breathe. Halfway down the block, I stopped and looked back at our house, the one we'd built together. It looked peaceful, almost innocent, as if it didn't know the kind of heartbreak it had just witnessed. I thought about the first Christmas we spent there, the laughter, the warmth, the promises. Then I thought about the box under the tree. And I realized something. Sometimes betrayal isn't a single moment. It's a slow erosion of honesty. When I got to my sister's house, she opened the door with sleepy eyes and a concerned look. "Anna? What happened?" I tried to smile. "Just needed a change of scenery." She didn't ask questions, not yet. She just pulled me into a hug, the kind that makes you remember what safety feels like. Later that morning, while she cooked breakfast, I sat on her couch and scrolled through my phone. Ethan had texted me. "Ethan, I'm sorry. I'll fix this. Please come home. Ethan, you're the only one I want. Ethan, please don't give up on us." I stared at the messages for a long time but didn't reply. Because deep down, I knew this wasn't about fixing, it was about healing. And healing doesn't happen in the same house where you were broken. That evening, my sister poured us both a glass of wine. "You think he'll change?" she asked softly. I took a sip, feeling the warmth slide down my throat. "Maybe," I said. "But even if he does, I don't think I'll ever look at him the same way again." She nodded. "So what are you going to do?" I looked out the window, where the snow was falling again, softer this time, quiet, forgiving. "I'm going to start remembering who I was before I became the woman who waited for his honesty." Later that night, I opened my journal and wrote, "This Christmas, I didn't lose my husband. I found my truth." And for the first time in a long time, that truth felt like a gift I'd finally given myself. 3 months passed after that Christmas. Winter slowly gave way to spring, and with it, the heaviness that had been sitting in my chest began to lift, piece by piece, day by day. At first, I kept thinking Ethan would show up at my sister's door. He didn't. He sent flowers, messages, emails. He called a few times, but I couldn't bring myself to answer. Every "I'm sorry" felt like another snowflake falling on a roof already caved in. My sister, bless her heart, never pushed. She let me have my quiet mornings, my long walks, my moments of staring at nothing. She knew healing doesn't always look like strength, sometimes it looks like stillness. One morning, while making coffee, I noticed the light coming through her kitchen window. It caught the steam rising from the mug in such a gentle way that I almost smiled. It was the first time in weeks I'd looked at something simply because it was beautiful. That's when I realized I was starting to come back to myself. A few weeks later, I decided to move into a small apartment downtown. Nothing fancy. Just 2 rooms, a balcony with rusted rails, and a tiny kitchen that always smelled faintly of cinnamon from the bakery downstairs. I bought new curtains, a second-hand couch, and a plant I named Hope. I didn't decorate much, I didn't need to. The emptiness felt clean, unburdened. In that space, I began rediscovering who I was without being somebody's wife. I started painting again, small, messy pieces at first, just colors and feelings. I joined a local community class for women who'd gone through heartbreak. We didn't cry all the time, sometimes we just talked about the weather, or recipes, or the small victories, like remembering to eat breakfast or sleeping through the night. Healing, I learned, wasn't loud. It was quiet, repetitive, and slow. It was brushing your hair again after days of not caring. It was making coffee and humming to yourself because silence no longer scared you. One afternoon, I ran into Ethan's sister at the grocery store. She looked surprised to see me. "Anna. Wow, you look good. Really good." I smiled politely. "Thank you. How have you been?" "We're okay." Ethan's been, well, trying to pull himself together. I nodded but said nothing. She hesitated before adding. "He told us everything. About Lydia. The letter. All of it." I looked at her, waiting. "He said he ruined the best thing that ever happened to him," she said softly. "He's been seeing a counselor." That last part caught me off guard. Ethan, the man who thought therapy was just talking in circles, had gone. For a brief moment, I felt a flicker of compassion, not for what he did, but for what it must have taken to finally face himself. I thanked her and walked away. But that night, lying in bed, I thought about him. Not with anger this time, with understanding. In April, I received a letter. No return address, just my name in familiar handwriting. It was from Ethan. "Anna. If I could turn back time, I'd tell you everything from the start. Not because I think it would save our marriage, but because you deserve the truth, always. I've learned that love without honesty isn't love, it's performance. You once told me you didn't need perfection, just sincerity. I understand now how badly I failed you on both counts. I'm not writing to ask for you back. I just want to thank you. Because losing you forced me to meet myself for the first time. I sat there, reading that letter over and over until my tears blurred the ink. It didn't hurt this time. It just closed something inside me, softly, like the last page of a long book. By summer, I was laughing again. My hair had grown a little longer, and so had my peace. Sometimes, on quiet evenings, I'd stand on the balcony with a cup of tea and watch the sun dip behind the buildings. I thought about how everything, love, pain, betrayal, had somehow brought me here. Not broken, not bitter, but awake. Then, one morning, I received a small package at my door. No name, just a tag that read "For Anna." Inside was a single ornament, a tiny wooden heart, hand-painted with gold. And a note. Friends don't send gifts like that. But people who've learned from their mistakes do. Merry Christmas, early this time. I smiled. Not because I wanted him back. But because, for the first time, that phrase, "she's just a friend," didn't sting anymore. It had become something else entirely. A reminder. That I'd survived the lie and reclaimed the truth. That evening, I hung the ornament on a small pine tree I kept on my balcony. The sun glowed behind it, making the gold shimmer softly. It wasn't forgiveness, exactly, it was closure. And closure, I realized, is just forgiveness without expectation. Months later, when Christmas came again, I invited my sister and a few close friends to my apartment. We cooked, laughed, played old songs. There were no secrets, no shadows, just warmth. As I stood by the tree, looking at that same golden ornament, I whispered to myself. Maybe some gifts aren't meant to hurt us. Maybe they're meant to wake us up. And in that quiet, glowing room, I finally felt at home again, not in a house, but in myself. You know, I used to think betrayal was something that happens to you, like a wound someone else gives. But with time, I learned, sometimes, betrayal is what happens after you stop betraying yourself. Because I'd been ignoring my own voice for so long, the voice that whispered, "Something isn't right." The voice that asked, "Why do I keep forgiving what hurts me?" The voice that deserved the truth. When Ethan said, "She's just a friend," I wanted to believe him. I wanted to believe that love could cover up doubt, that kindness could erase dishonesty. But the truth? Love without honesty is like a candle without a flame, it looks whole, but it gives no light. I don't hate him. I don't even wish things were different anymore. Because maybe the point of pain isn't to destroy us, maybe it's to show us where we stopped being honest with ourselves. That Christmas gift. It wasn't about Lydia. It was about awakening. The moment I opened that box, I also opened my eyes. So now, I live quietly. I paint. I breathe. I laugh again. And sometimes, I hang that tiny golden ornament on my tree, not as a reminder of heartbreak, but as proof of healing. Because, my friends, sometimes the people who break your heart are the very ones who teach you how to hold it together again. If someone once told you, "It's nothing, don't worry," and you felt that heavy ache in your chest anyway, you're not crazy. You're just human. And you deserve the kind of love that doesn't make you doubt yourself. So tell me, if you were in my place, would you have stayed and tried to forgive him? Or would you have walked away, the way I did, and chosen peace over promises? Let me know in the comments. And if my story reminded you of your own, don't forget to subscribe and stay a while. There are more stories to tell. More hearts to heal. And maybe, yours is next.